The first few seconds of my recording are missing, but we kind of jumped right into talking about Blood Blockade Battlefront. We started with talking about simuldubbing. Also, Phil was driving to a con when we recorded this interview, so if there's any noise, that's why.
Yeah, I guess they were still kind of new then, because this is, 2017, 18, 9 years ago. I'm not sure when we started doing simuldubs, but...
2015.
Was it that long ago? Oh, that's when we did the first season, I guess. Okay. Yeah, so I don't know when we started doing the simuldubs, or when they became, de rigueur. I just know at some point it was like, this is different than the old days. I think by then it was probably pretty regular that we went in to do an episode at a time. I mean, the biggest difference is when I started out in the early 2000s, we were dubbing old stuff. So just the way you did it was very different. You go in and set up a session for multiple hours and do multiple episodes,
Yeah.
And it was also better because the director would know the entire story, could tell you, here's your character. He seems like a good guy at first, but then it's going to be revealed later on he's kind of bad. He'd give you stuff to play with. When the simuldub era became, we don't know. The director doesn't know. He might know a week ahead of you, what's going to happen. Sometimes they'll read the manga and know where that story goes, but that's no guarantee the adaptation is going to follow the same suit.
Right.
And sometimes a director would cast you thinking, this guy's pretty cool. I think he's going to be a recurring villain, and then you die the next episode. So I didn't really know that Klaus was kind of the one of the stars of the show.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, so I guess by then, I'm kind of used to doing it that way.
Okay. What was the auditioning process like for Klaus?
I don't remember. That's probably one. I probably went in and read for it, but by then Mike had been working with me for 12 years or so. So when he had actors that he knew, he tended to cast them in parts. Like he must have thought, Phil would be good for this part. He might have based it off my work in Tokyo Ghoul. I pretty much did the same voice for Klaus that I did for Renji Yomo in Tokyo Ghoul. And both of those were essentially me doing kind of my version of Kevin Conroy from Batman.
Really?
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I tell people at cons and stuff, if you think about it, like, welcome to Hell Salem's Lot. And when it comes to the Joker, Robin, expect the unexpected. It's kind of the same thing.
Right. I didn't think about that. Yeah, so Megan had a similar experience. Basically, Mike told her to talk for a little bit, and he said, hey, come on in, and your cast is this character, White.
Yeah, that's kind of how it worked. With the veteran actors, that's kind of how it is, They do. We still do. I recorded some auditions just yesterday for a show, But in that case, it's been, like you said, it's been 11 years ago, so I don't remember if I auditioned or not.
Okay.
But I would imagine that since it was a larger role, it's one of the ones that Mike picked me for.
Okay, that makes sense. Matches Megan's experience. I know Mike has a history of doing that. Just call people in, say, hey, you got this role.
Yeah, he's got an amazing ear, and after he's worked with you, he just has if he hadn't been a director and actor himself, he'd probably been a great casting director, because he's very good at matching people with parts, I think.
I would agree with that. And then I know this was again long time ago. Do you know how quickly you started recording the show? Because it was debuting in April 2015, and the dub was on a 39-day delay.
Oh, okay. So it was a little bit of. So maybe that was a little bit of not quite simuldubbing.
Yeah, for season 1 it was, and then season 2 I think it was like 2 or 3 weeks. It wasn't that long.
Yeah, maybe that's when that big transition happened, was around 10 years ago. So no, I don't remember the time frame. I actually keep kind of records of sessions and what role I was recording. I've been doing that for a while, but I don't think I was doing it yet in 2015.
Okay.
I was looking back through those when you wanted to do this interview, and I found like some Blood Blockade from like 2017, but I realized, oh, that's from the later season.
Something I actually found with you and the Japanese actor, you both also voice Azazel in High School DxD.
That's funny. I did not know that. I don't know much about the Seiyu, but that's interesting because Azazel really is just my speaking voice, just a little creepier, you know?
Yeah.
And some would say, no, it is your speaking voice, just that creepy. But that's funny.
So what was it like working with Mike versus other ADR directors?
Well, everyone has their own style. You know, that was in the Funimation days when it was a bit smaller. Not as small as it was way back in the Dragon Ball days, you know. Although he was there for those early days when I first started. So I think it was, I can't speak for Mike, but I think we had a real comfort level because we worked together so long, you know. Mike is not incredibly verbose. He'll explain to you what a show is, what your part is. He'll use a lot of shorthand. And he just, like I said, his ear, you throw out a line and he knows if it's what he's looking for, or if it's not quite. He's very good at like getting you to fine tune it. It was very rare with Mike that I ever had times that we struggled with the delivery because I wasn't quite getting what he wanted. That happened once in a while. I think it happens with every actor and director, you know. But for the most part, it was very, very smooth, you know.
Okay. Yeah. Other people I've heard talk about Mike, and like as Megan was telling me how much she loved working with him. I kind of got the impression he's something of a perfectionist. He knows what he wants.
Yeah, that's the thing. He does definitely have an idea in his mind what he wants, but he's very effective at communicating that, you know.
Yeah.
And knowing when he hears it. It was never a struggle, you know.
Right.
There's a couple of ADRs where it just didn't work, where we couldn't communicate. I couldn't get what they wanted, and just did not get recast, or you know, it just didn't work out. But Mike was always. I was always glad when I'd see Mike's name on. Hey, can you come in and do this for Mike? I was like, yes, anything for Mike. You know?
That's a sentiment I hear quite often. Is that he's easy to work with.
Yeah. Because his background, you know, he's an actor. He like me, his background is in improv. He's musical, you know, so he's got a very well-rounded creative mind. So I think he can kind of speak and communicate in different, I don't know what you call it, creative dialects, if you will, you know, which came in very handy because in that episode where Klaus is fighting the chess game,
yeah,
for his life. You know, he's humming Beethoven's Ode to Joy in 3 parts in his head. And while I can sing and I have to for my gigs, I'm not trained, you know. So, but Mike could be like, okay, don't worry, we'll do a repeat. I know where the parts need to be. I'll sing them to you. You mimic, you know.
Oh, wow. That's really cool.
Yeah, with a non-musical director, though, that might have been more of a challenge. You might have to bring somebody in. We did bring, there was an engineer back in those days named Peter who spoke German, and he was very useful because when Klaus would call out a fight move in those faux German words, we could go to him and say, hey, if this were a real word, how would you pronounce it, you know?
Yeah, I was going to ask about the German side of it, because I saw Peter Hawkinson and Scarlett Wright were listed in the credits. I was going to ask what were some of the challenges with voicing Klaus, and I was going to say the German attack name sounded difficult.
Yeah, because we were trying to we want the pronunciation to sound true, like if someone German heard it, go, well, that's not a real word, but if it were, that sounds German. You know, we wanted that, even though we weren't playing Klaus with the German accent or anything like that. We wanted, you know, those words to ring true. And then it gets technical. Then you're working on the pronunciation so much. Oh, wait, I still have to act this, and I also have to be yelling it. So you get a lot of plates in the ear trying to get those lines to come off smoothly, you know.
Yeah.
To come off sounding natural rather than forced and labored, you know. That can happen with just a regular speaking line when there's something hard to pronounce or you can get to, okay, now I can say it. Well, that doesn't sound like talking. You can hear the effort of trying to say it correctly.
Yeah. What were some of the highlights of voicing Klaus for you?
I love doing that Batmanish voice. I like that kind of character. I like how cool he was. He looked cool. He was.
Yeah.
He was a leader, but he, like in a lot of anime, he still was kind of quirky, but an action guy.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was all good. It was a very good experience, and I didn't do the convention. Didn't have interaction with fans back then. I didn't really start doing them regularly until about 3 years ago.
Oh. I was gonna say, how often are you recognized for being Klaus at cons?
Well, it's one of those anime that my understanding is it was a pretty big manga and anime in Japan, but just didn't catch fire here like that.
Right.
And so I don't think I've ever done a signing where there wasn't at least one person who knew the show. And then I'd say at least a third of people have at least heard of it. Oh, yeah, I heard that's good. I never watched that, The one exception would be I was doing a convention in New Jersey 3 years ago, and it seemed like every third or fourth person was excited about Klaus.
Really?
I sold out of my Klaus prints. I usually don't sell any, And I don't know if it's because they're right by New York City and the show has that vibe, I mean, I remember texting Mike, goes, dude, they love BBB up here in Jersey.
Wow.
He wrote back, good. It's a great show. And I did have a guy during the pandemic, I think he was I guess it was his boyfriend's birthday, and they were huge Blood Blockade fans. And they had me do like a cameo audio thing as Klaus message, for the guys as a surprise.
Oh, wow. That's awesome.
And that was cool to me that anime meant that much to someone that they would want to, that would be a special thing for someone they loved,
Yeah. Other highlights of voicing Klaus?
Well, just that it was back in the Funimation days. I miss those days. I'm very happy to have worked at Crunchyroll, but those were a special time. I think, yeah. Nothing springs to mind. If I think it's something specific, I'll let you know. Because
Okay.
we don't, I'm sure you know, and you've interviewed people. We don't work with each other, so you don't get those cast bonding things.
Yeah.
I did do, I believe, a commentary track on one of the episodes on one of the DVDs. I remember being in the booth with another actor from the show.
Huh.
I think. Do you remember there being commentary tracks in any of the discs?
No, not for season 1, because season 1, they had some shorts at the end, as bonus features. It was one with Aaron and Ian, and one with Mike and Micah. And on season 2, they had a video commentary with J. Michael Tatum, Stephanie Young, and Mike McFarlane, just watching through the episode and having a good time.
Okay. So
yeah.
I didn't do it on that show then. Maybe I'm thinking I might have been there recording, and maybe Ian had just finished. And have you met him before?
I have met Ian. He's very fun.
Yes, he's a lot. He's loud. So he was talking about the show and everything, and maybe that's what I'm thinking of. But because we were there at the booth, and that's where we record the commentaries too. So.
Oh, okay. Okay, interesting.
Yeah, well, I'm kind of retroactively missed that I didn't get to be on one of the commentaries that they were doing them for that show.
Yeah, they didn't do too many. It wasn't like One Piece where there's like a ton.
I mean, I did it for some lesser shows, or shows that were kind of forgotten shows like Noragami Arigato. We did a commentary track.
Oh, interesting.
Did you ever see that one?
I have not.
Yeah, it was a show about gods and their regalia, and there's all this intrigue.
Huh. I'll have to look that one up.
Like I was a real snake in the grass. Yeah.
Ah.
Yeah. He was like, "Do you watch Game of Thrones, Hal?"
A long time ago.
Well, you remember Littlefinger, Peter Baelish?
Yes.
Yeah, he was the Littlefinger of that show. You know?
Okay. Gotcha.
Acting like your friend and your ally and your counsel, but really he's plotting for his own power. You know?
Okay.
It's fun to play a bad guy. Klaus was very virtuous. That actually was a little off brand. I played so many villains.
Yeah, that's something I consistently hear across interviews, both my own and with others, is that it's way more fun to play villains than it is to play heroes.
Yeah, well, unless they write the heroes. I mean, unless the heroes are flawed and interestingly written. You know.
Yeah.
Sometimes, especially in older anime, you get these sort of one-dimensional heroes. You know.
Yeah. Because with BBB, Jesse James Greeley played Fempt, one of the main antagonists, and just sounded like she was having a ball in the booth.
Yeah.
So hammy.
They are fun.
And then there was a long delay between the season 1, episode 11, and then the finale, which was longer. Do you recall that?
No, I wasn't watching the anime then, so I was kind of oblivious to the broadcast. Were we streaming at that point?
Yeah, it was a simulcast, but yeah, the anime ran into an issue that the final episode was like 45 minutes long, so they had to delay the episode until autumn.
Oh wow, okay. That kind of rings a bell going in. I thought I thought we were done with this. What are we doing this session now months later?
Yeah, the dub episode didn't come out until like 2 months after the Japanese version for that particular episode.
See, that's the kind of thing, since I wasn't doing cons and stuff back then, I would be oblivious. Now I would know stuff like that. Now I'm very much aware of, okay, we're doing the season of this show, like we're finishing up Fire Force now. We're doing season 2 of Hell's Paradise. Have you watched that one?
No, but I know a lot of friends who are super into it.
Yeah, and that's all. My character in that is also one. That was Mike's show, and he cast me as this great character. I'm having a ball playing.
That's awesome. No, one of my best friends was just saying he loves your character in that show.
Oh, cool. Well, tell him thank you.
Yeah.
Tell them thank you, and I hope that there's a pop. If they do a wave 2 of Hell's Paradise pops, they'll embrace this one.
Oh, heck yeah. Now, I know for some simuldubs, they'll have to go back and correct things and for the Blu-ray or whatever. Did that happen with the show? Do you recall?
It could have. I mean, you're right. That does happen. It probably did. We call them pickups. Sometimes it happens even while we're still in the season, you know, because they can fix it. Well, I believe back then they could fix it and repost it. But you're right, maybe they mostly did it for the discs. But nothing specific comes to mind.
Okay, wasn't sure.
I bet I had to repronounce at least one of those German words after the fact.
Yeah.
But sometimes it'll be just because there's a name, and we thought we're going to pronounce it this way, and then we find out later from the Japanese studio or somewhere, oh no, we're not going with that pronunciation. We're changing it to this. You know.
Okay. Now, it sounds like did you watch the show?
No, it's almost I haven't watched really anime since I was a kid watching, you know, Speed Racer and that kind of stuff. Star Blazers, but I intend to sit down and watch Attack on Titan, and I'd like to watch BBB because I kind of watch, you know, I want to watch the ones that where I really enjoy the character. Those are both Mike McFarlane directed dubs. Do
you know how? I know you said at cons the show is apparently not that big unless you're in Jersey, I guess. Do you know how big the show was, like popularity and sales wise, with Funimation / Crunchyroll?
No idea.
Okay. I never know who knows what.
Yeah. No, I was never, you know, guys like Mike that were directors or guys that were also engineers and actors that were writers, you know, they were much more plugged into the studio part of it. I was always just a contract actor, so I never really knew what was going on with that stuff.
Okay.
But I will say about it not being as big, when I do meet fans of the show, they really like, I mean, It's not like, oh yeah, I saw you in that. It's like, oh sure, oh my god, I love that show. When they like it, they really love it. So it's kind of a cult thing, I think.
It absolutely is. Megan said the exact same thing when she was on the con circuit. It was like not a whole lot of people recognized her character, but the ones who did were really, really, really into the show.
Yeah, I wish I'd grabbed a few of the Klaus Nindroids when they first came out. They might have been had at a reasonable price then.
True. Gosh. Back when the show was new, I cosplayed Leonardo Watch, and I was at cons with someone cosplaying from like Bleach, really big shows. And they were recognized more than I was, but the people who recognized Leo were really, really, really into the show. It was 6 people who I identified it at the first con I did it at. But like someone pulled me aside because the finale had just aired to talk to me about the finale of the show. So
yeah, it's like being somebody that's into some underground band that most people don't know about.
Yeah. So it's interesting. I'm hearing that consistently, that it very much was like those who are into it are into it.
Yeah, I'm glad the other actors are having the same experience.
Yeah, I met Aaron in 2020 because he wasn't really doing cons for a while. I met him and I was telling him about BBB, and he was saying, despite so many people saying they like it, he, to that point, had never seen a cosplay from it. So, I don't know, maybe he has a different experience with how many people identify, Leo, but he's more known for like, Alphonse, Senku, characters like that. But
well, yeah, he had some really big roles. So.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, all of us have that. There's certain roles that we're going to get most of our attention for. In my case, it's definitely Nappa from Dragon Ball, Kenny from Attack on Titan. Now I've got Gilles since I took that role over.
Yeah.
In Fairy Tail 100 Years Quest.
Yeah, looking back at this experience of across both seasons, 11 years later, what do you think of your time overall with it?
That was, I guess, when I said thinking about working on that show makes me nostalgic. Not just being there at Funimation, but that was also a period where I was working a lot. I started in the early 2000s, and when you got into like the late 2000s, early 2010s, there was a period there where I'd go months without going in for anything. It felt like, and there was I felt like kind of a renaissance there right around that time in the late 2010s, where I felt like I was getting a lot of nice roles and working a lot more. And so I remember BBB in kind of that time frame.
Okay. I have some questions. I reached out to the BBB Discord server because this fandom is apparently really big.
That's cool. Glad to hear that.
Yeah, so I got some questions from people who wanted to hear about Klaus and the actor behind him. If you had to pick a favorite character from the show that isn't Klaus, who would it be and why?
Oh boy, see, this is where me not watching the show comes in. I don't know. So I go obvious and say Leo.
Someone said, not a question, but I think you should tell him the fans adore Klaus. It is very true.
Yeah, when I meet fans that like the show, they also really love that character. And I've heard, and of course, I think a lot of people say this at a table over there in front of, because they want to, be nice to you. But I hear a lot. He was my favorite character, and they get very excited. So I don't doubt that. He's just cool. I mean, he just looks. He kind of has that Wolverine look, but he's brawny and seems smart and capable, but kind of father-like,
Yeah.
A little bit of Ron Swanson from Parks and Rec, maybe,
True.
Like I'm older than Nick Offerman, but when I watched Parks and Rec, I wanted him to be my dad.
That's great. What do you have in common with Klaus?
Ooh, yeah, not much. All those qualities I just mentioned are.
Oh, he's breaking up.
I'm often put in leadership positions in different endeavors I've done. You know,
Yeah.
that when I was in high school, I was president of my class, and when I was in comedy troops, I produced and directed some, and I still do murder mystery dinner shows. I play the detective, which means I'm often directing the actors. So I guess that side of it, of
Okay.
being in a role, somewhat mentoring younger people in your profession. I found myself in that position sometimes.
Okay. Awesome. Now, someone brought this up. Is it true that you had help from your grandmother for some German phrasing? I have not heard this before.
No, it was all Peter.
Okay.
That might have helped if he had dressed up as my grandmother. Now I think back on it, that would have given the whole thing a much more special quality. But no, not my grandmother's. None of them spoke German, so.
Okay.
I haven't done 23andMe, so I don't know if I have any German in my ancestry even.
I had one question that was not about BBB, and it was actually about Detective Conan.
Okay.
How did it feel getting to come back to Detective Conan / Case Closed as Shiratori in the new dub from Studio Nano after doing bit parts way back when with the Funimation dub on Adult Swim?
Oh, you did your homework. Well, there's more to that story than you may know, because it was actually very vindicating, because Mike originally cast me as Inspector McGuire.
Really?
Or I guess he's Magore. Yes. And we recorded quite a few episodes. We recorded for at least 2 or 3 weeks, I think. And then the Japanese studio stepped in and said, well, we don't like everything you're doing. And so they recast a number of roles, and one of them was mine. And this wasn't Mike. Mike said, I think you're great. This is me, and I can't remember the actor that, you probably would know, the actor that did get the role. And I think what they said was, well, we want him to sound older. Which, I was playing him with a lot of gristle in my voice, something like that. And he wasn't drawn like an old man. He had dark hair, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
He was overweight, but he wasn't. So that seemed an odd thing to have. And then when I first heard the actor that took over, I thought, well, that's basically what I was doing, and I could have made it more textured like that. I was very sour about it, because I knew it was a long-ass show, and the character was in almost every episode. So I was just thinking of all the work I wasn't getting because of it. And I would bring it up for years after. So then when that redub came up, and I went in, it's a different studio, and I told them that story. I was McGuire originally. I'm surprised they didn't, and they go, well, they actually requested you for this part.
Huh.
And they said, and also, don't feel bad, the actor that did play Maguri, he's the only actor from the original dub they kept for this.
Yeah, it was Mark Stoddard, by the way.
And, yeah, it's Mark Stoddard, exactly. And they played me a little of Mark. I think I recorded something with Mark in it, and I listened going, okay, yeah, he is better. I was listening to a part who says, yeah, that actually is a better voice. With a little distance. I was like, okay, all right. I guess that wasn't a great injustice. But yeah,
Wow.
but it did feel a little vindicating to come back after all this time.
Wow. I did not know any of that. That's really interesting.
No, they did. I mean, it never came out. Those episodes never aired or went to disc or anything with me in them. I got paid to do it once I recorded, but yeah, that's lost.
Huh.
I was like Eric Stoltz, the original Marty McFly.
Yeah. So what have you been up to lately? Any recent shows that have come out that you're in, or anything you're doing in theater?
Most of my time, I'm really kind of I've gone into doing the appearances and so forth. Like I said, I still do murder mystery dinner shows when I can. Occasionally I do personal appearances as a celebrity impersonator. That's what I used to do back when I got my first Funimation dub.
Really?
Again, I usually can't do those. Yeah, I usually can't even do those because, A, I want more money than most people want to spend, and then B, they're usually on weekends, parties and events, and so I'm usually off somewhere like this weekend doing a con. As far as anime goes, as I mentioned, we're doing the last episodes of Fire Force.
Fire Force spoilers in 3, 2, 1.
And my character, Captain Burns, did die in the first part of the season that we did last year, but I just recorded some. He's back. Because the whole world is changing and becoming the world of Soul Eater, so...
Yeah,
a lot of things are happening.
I can't wait for the anime to cover the ending and everyone to be shocked because it was so big when it came out in the manga. I'm like, that's so brilliant.
Right, because at the time, the creator was being coy when he was still making the manga, because people said, "Is this the same universe as Soul Eater?" You know, and I don't know, maybe. That he finally confirmed it. I thought I'd be recording a lot of my character from My Hero Academia. It features more prominently in the prequel show, Vigilantes. But I've only gone into one line, season 2, which we're doing now.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, there's a show called MF Ghost. I play a small supporting role in that. Hell's Paradise, like I said, we're doing season 2. I've got a big episode coming up for that. So yeah, there's a few shows that have come back. And as far as new shows, we'll see. I'll find out when you guys find out.
Sounds great. So anything you want to say to the viewers out there?
Oh yeah, just appreciate you giving that show love and keeping it alive. It's real gratifying because again, we kind of work in a bubble, in that studio. I come from the stage background where you have the audience right there, and you get your verdict right away. Whether they clap or laugh or whatever. But stuff like this, it's sometimes years later. I mean, I learn from people that love it. And now we're going to 11 years after the fact. And so it's humbling and exciting to be a part of anything that makes people that happy. So I always appreciate fandom and passion.
Awesome. Anything you want to advertise? Social media, website, things like that?
Yeah, you can hit me up on Instagram, Phil Parsons, voice actor, and I'll tend to post where I'm going to be. If you want to come see me, get a Klaus print signed or something, then it'll let you know where I'll be.
Awesome. Well, that's all I really had. So thank you so much again for making this work. I'm glad I got to talk to you finally, and we got to talk about this show. I don't know if I mentioned it in my message. BVB is my favorite dub of all time.
Yes, you did. Thank you. Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah. Well, you know what? I hear that about Mike. Mike McFarlane directed dubs get that accolade quite a bit.
Yep. He is my. Not that others are bad. I'm just saying Mike is my favorite in the anime world, anime dubbing world.
Yeah, and most fans don't think much about the people like the ADR. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They just think about the characters. Just like the average person doesn't think much about the writers and directors on TV show. They think about the characters they see.
Yeah, because also the scripts were very good for this dub. The adaptive script writing was excellent.
Yeah, that's not there's sometimes work on a show, and it doesn't happen that much anymore these days, but you'd spend a half an hour rewriting a line because it didn't fit or the director doesn't like it, and like, okay, this is a sloppy adaptation,
Yeah.
And I'm a writer, and I considered maybe trying to do some writing for Funimation back in the day, but it looked so daunting to me because, okay, they've got to translate that literally, which will then make no sense. Then rewrite it so it tells the story in English. Then rewrite it so that it fits the flaps.
Yeah.
And the pacing, the animated motion, and that just looked Herculean to me, to pull that off.
Imagine doing that on a tight schedule with the simul dubbing.
Right, exactly. Yeah. That's what you asked about the difference between simul dub and pre-simul dub. Yeah, we could take more time with stuff too,
Yeah.
Well, when I first started, we were still on videotape, so the downtime between takes was longer. I used to keep my Game Boy in the booth with me because there was just so much,
Really?
waiting.
What were you playing?
I believe it was Donkey Kong Country from the SNES, which had been ported to the Game Boy Advance SP at the time.
Oh, good one. That's a
Yeah.
classic.
And in a pinch, I would play Snake on my old flip phone. You know.
Oh man, I was just reminiscing about.
Yeah, smartphones are definitely a game changer.
Yeah, literally. I was just reminiscing about old phones and how different it all is now. So, yeah, but that was the main difference I heard with simuldubbing is that everyone but the voice actors is under way more stress.
Yeah, it's easier for us. You know, the engineers didn't have Pro Tools the way it is now, so it was much more in those early days. It was much more on you, the voice actor, to pace your lines to fit those flaps. I think that's why I lucked out when I got my first role and they kept using me, because I'm sure they brought in a lot of actors who just couldn't get the hang of that. You know.
Yeah, that was the case for early New York dubs as well. They kept bringing people back to do dubs because they knew the skill. It is a skill to do the dubbing and match the lip flaps and things like that.
Yeah. And now I throw it out there in the ballpark, and I know the engineer can just do all this little massaging of the line to make it fit. You know.
Yeah, it's amazing because I'm always amazed by the audio engineers who I assume it's audio wizardry make it all come together. When I was at a panel with Barry Andel was doing a Q&A, he says that's the real magic of dubbing is all the engineers in the background making the everything match up and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah. You know, people said, well, do you ever see your own work? Of course, you see it played back with picture in the booth, but sometimes I'll go in and watch an episode after it goes up on the platform, and usually it's like most actors, like, I hear myself going, why'd they use that take, and I could have done that better, and I should have gone this with it. You know, you're very hard on yourself. But if I go watch something from, like, if I watch Blood Blockade, which is 10 years, so far removed, I don't think that way. I appreciate it for what it is. You know, I'll watch older stuff and go, I do sound good. And I'll always be impressed by how all the elements come together, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Not just my performance, but all the sound effects and other people's performances and the music and the balance. And, you know, and then I go, that's the director made the right choice. He knew that I know Mike knew what he was doing. He wanted it to sound that way because it would blend with his other stuff that I couldn't hear at the time.
It's always amazing seeing it all come together. Phenomenal.
Yeah, definitely.
All right, well, that's all I had as far as questions. Video, I'm shooting to have it done in about a month. I'm finishing up my final draft today, just putting together my notes and seeing if anyone else wants to talk. Honestly, I only reached out because I was looking for a photo of you, and I stumbled across your Facebook page, and I saw I could message. I'm like, yeah, why not? I'm just gonna message Phil, see if he has anything to say, and you agreed to an interview, and I'm like, oh, okay.
Yeah, I love it.
So I'll keep you in the loop on when the video is done, and you can give it a look. But enjoy the con this weekend.
Yeah, thanks. I loved it. I've done several of these on the base, and it's great. It's great. The service men and women are, you know, it's an honor to be there with them, and they're just like everyone out there. A lot of them are huge anime enthusiasts.
For sure. Yeah, good talking to you. Have a good weekend.
All right, Hal. Take care, man.
You too. He says thank you for the Hell's Paradise comment.
Oh, nice. Yeah, I thought that's what you were talking about.
Yeah.